Hey, savvy listeners, this is expat Andy, your host and producer of Publicity Your London Travel Toolkit, the most unique London travel show available. You're loving this show, right? So you might be shocked to know that the majority of your family, friends, neighbors, and colleagues have never heard of it. I know, insert gasp, clutch your pearls, right? At this very moment, someone you know, like, maybe even love, is struggling to plan a London trip with no idea that this treasure vault of help is available to them, free of charge. Do yourself and them a solid. Share this show with your network. In doing so, you'll help travel and hospitality businesses across London, and you'll make yourself look cool in the process. Thank you, and enjoy this episode. Oh, and of course, share it. Here's the thing about a Windsor day trip from London. Windsor isn't a museum-piece castle. It's the oldest and largest occupied castle on Earth, and the King of England actually lives there. You could be standing at his gate less than 40 minutes after leaving central London. Windsor is small and walkable, and the whole day organizes itself around one thing: that castle, right in the middle of town. The high street runs along its southern wall. Behind the castle, the Long Walk strikes out south into a 5,000-acre royal park, and downhill sits the River Thames, with Eton just across the bridge. We have two options for a train to Windsor from central London. One from London Paddington, the other from London Waterloo. Both drop you in the centre of Windsor, close to the castle. The Paddington train, however, requires a change at Slough. From London Paddington, take Great Western Railway towards Slough, where you change for the shuttle train to the Grade 2 listed Windsor and Eton Central Railway Station. It's a grand station building from the 1890s with a surviving royal waiting room on Windsor High Street. From there, it's about a 10-minute walk along Thames Street to the castle. Total journey time around 50 minutes, depending on the wait for the local shuttle. From London Waterloo, South Western Railway runs direct to Windsor and Eton Riverside in roughly 55 minutes. No changes, just slower. That station sits at the bottom of Thames Street, the hill that leads up to the castle, about a third of a mile, 10 minutes on foot. Before you go in, look up. What flag is flying? If it's the Union Jack, the monarch is not in residence. If it's the Royal Standard, then the King is home. If you arrive at Windsor and Eton Central, don't rush straight to the castle. The restored Victorian station now houses Windsor Royal Shopping, where the old railway architecture survives alongside cafés and independent shops, a good spot to grab a coffee and get your bearings. Buy your Windsor Castle tickets online ahead of time, saves you time in the queue when you arrive. Windsor Castle has been a royal home for over 900 years, founded by William the Conqueror after 1066. It's a Grade 1 listed royal palace covering some 13 acres, England's largest castle, and it remains a working residence of King Charles III. That's the thing first-time visitors underestimate. This is not a ruin. It's a living seat of the monarchy. Check ahead of your trip whether the changing of the guard is taking place on the day you visit. The guards march through the town and into the castle with a military band on select mornings. Arrive early and stake out a spot near the castle gates or inside the lower ward for the best views. Inside the castle, the must-sees are the state apartments, Queen Mary's Doll's House, and St. George's Chapel, one of the finest Gothic churches in England. The chapel is the burial place of 11 monarchs, including Queen Elizabeth II, who rests in the King George VI Memorial Chapel beside her parents, sister, and Prince Philip. Under the choir floor, a single black marble slab marks the shared vault of Henry VIII, his third wife Jane Seymour, and Charles I, the only English king ever executed, buried here with his head sewn back on. The chapel is closed to visitors on Sundays. If you're feeling energetic and the route is open, look for access to the round tower. Sitting on the castle's highest point, it rises from the original moat, built by William the Conqueror nearly 1,000 years ago. Climb the steep steps and you're rewarded with one of the finest views in southern England. The castle spread beneath you, Windsor Great Park rolling away into the distance, and on a clear day, views stretching for miles across the Thames Valley. Not every ticket includes access, and it isn't always open. But if you get the chance, take it. One for the lucky few. If you're visiting during one of its limited opening periods, the Grade 1 listed Frogmore House and Gardens offers a completely different side of the royal estate. Hidden within the private grounds of Windsor Home Park, this country house was a favourite retreat of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. Its gardens are full of lakes, bridges, follies, and wind-in paths. It's also home to the Grade 1 listed Royal Mausoleum, where Victoria and Albert are buried. Access is limited and often requires separate booking, but if your dates line up, Frogmore feels less like a tourist attraction and more like being quietly let in on a royal secret. Step out of the castle onto the high street and you're looking at two of Windsor's best small stories side by side. First is the Grade 2 listed Crooked House of Windsor, a wonky lean-in timber frame building also called Market Cross House. Rebuilt around 1687 in unseasoned green oak that buckled as it dried, it long billed itself as the oldest tea house in England. Today it trades as the Shambles, a cafe, bar and bottle shop. It's a fine spot to pause for coffee and cake. Next door is the Grade 1 listed Windsor Guildhall, dating to 1687. Look at the inner columns under the open ground floor. Legend says Sir Christopher Wren was ordered by nervous councillors to add support pillars he insisted were not needed. So, he built them deliberately short, leaving a gap at the top to prove the building would stand without them. Historians now doubt that Wren had much to do with it at all, but stand underneath, spot the gap, and enjoy the best architectural joke in town. The Guildhall is also where Charles and Camilla married in 2005. From the Guildhall, head down Park Street, a pretty Georgian run that ends right at the gate to the Long Walk. And right there, for a proper pub lunch, aim for the Two Brewers at 34 Park Street, Windsor, SL4 1LB. A Grade 2 listed inn serving since the 1790s. Parked at the gate to the Long Walk, with home-cooked ham, egg and chips, and walls papered in centuries of memorabilia. Fuel up here. You're about to do the best free thing in Windsor. The Long Walk is a straight tree-lined avenue running 2.64 miles from the castle's George IV gateway up to Snow Hill, laid out by Charles II after his exile at Versailles. It runs through the Grade 1 listed Royal Estate Park and Garden. The view back towards the castle is one of the most photographed in Britain. The Windsor Estate is designated a Site of Special Scientific Interest, a special area of conservation, and a special protection area for the conservation of wild birds. At the far end stands the Copper Horse, the Grade 1 listed statue of George III, sculpted by Westmacott and erected around 1831. The king is shown dressed as a Roman emperor and pointing towards his favourite home. Windsor Great Park behind it is a former royal hunting forest of roughly 5,000 acres, used by medieval kings from Edward I onward for jousts, tournaments, and a royal stud that supplied horses for the 100 Years' War. One eerie footnote, Snow Hill, where the Copper Horse stands, it's said to be where Henry VIII waited for the cannon shot, signalling that Anne Boleyn had been executed. Every great forest needs a ghost. The Great Park has Herne the Hunter, first written down in Shakespeare's The Merry Wives of Windsor around 1597. the spectre of a former Windsor forest keeper who walks at midnight with great ragged antlers growing from his head, rattling a chain, blasting trees, and turning cattle's milk to blood. The story goes that, disgraced and wronged by jealous courtiers, he hanged himself from an oak, ever after Hearn's Oak, and rides out still with the wild hunt. A glimpse of him, the old tale warns, spells doom for the monarch. Worth knowing as you stand among these 1,000-year-old oaks. Then turn around and walk back toward the gate. The castle framed at the end of the avenue is the reward for the return leg. Back in the centre, head down Thames Street to the water. Windsor's riverside promenade offers some of the best views of the castle, and short sightseeing cruises run throughout the day. If you'd rather take it easy than hike, Alexandra Gardens beside the river is one of the town's most pleasant spots to sit with a coffee and watch the boats go by. For a riverside drink or a late lunch, the Boatman at 10 Thameside, Windsor SL4 1QN, is Windsor's only proper pub on the Thames, with a terrace, a famous fish pie, and a white glove afternoon tea if you'd prefer that. If your feet hold out, the pedestrian bridge from Windsor drops you into Eton in 2 minutes. Eton College, a Grade 1 listed group of buildings founded in 1440 by Henry VI. Eton High Street's antique shops make a quieter counterweight to Windsor's bustle. While here, there are a couple of options for a refreshing pint. First, the George Inn at 77 High Street, Eton, Windsor SL4 6AF. It pours beer from the local Windsor and Eton brewery, and it's a low-beamed coaching inn. Second, the Grade 2 listed Riverside Waterman's Arms, housed in a former 16th century workhouse and factory at Brocas Street, Eton, Windsor SL4 6BW. If you don't make it across the bridge to Eton and you fancy a quick one before the train, the Windsor and Eton's Brewery Tap Room sits on the Vansittart estate off Duke Street, a short walk from the riverside and an easy stroll onto Windsor and Eton Riverside Station. The brewery revived brewing in the town in 2010 and holds a royal warrant as a brewer to the late Queen. Ask for a flight, find your style, and toast the fact that the King is technically your neighbour for the afternoon. If you stayed south and skipped the river, catch a golden hour pint back at the Two Brewers at the foot of the Long Walk instead. Windsor is an easy day trip that rewards you for slowing down. Get it fully right, and you'll wonder why anyone treats it just as a tourist box to tick. If you live, work, or travel in London, or if you own, manage, or work in a London pub, if you work as a London tour guide or at a London attraction, and you'd like to be a guest contributor to our main podcast, Publicity Your London Travel Toolkit, email me expatandy@publicitythepodcast.com. Love our content? Love London and its pubs? The best thing you can do is share the love. Literally, share this episode with your network. Your share is the butterfly ripple effect across the globe for a small business in London.